Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
Well, that was a game. We are here after Game 2, the Calgary Flames falling to the Dallas Stars. 1-0 is the final. So if you had Dallas plus 1.5, you are feeling quite good about things right now. Sports betting, it's on everyone's mind right now, and Sports Interaction is Canada's sportsbook. Before the game starts, live in play, or how your favorite player will perform, Canada plays at Sports Interaction, doing it right since 1997. With the most competitive odds, Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. 19 years or older, please play responsibly. I'm Peter Klein. He is Audie James. Audie, I have a lot to say about this one, so I will let you go first because I'm feeling particularly ranty right now.
I think it's important to note too quickly. I hate correcting people, but I think it's important to note, especially if you did take Nashville plus 1.5, that it was 2-0. Well, I guess plus it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered because they still won. But either way, it was 2-0. So yeah. Just to be that just adds a little more salt to the wound and the fact that we're very upset about this. Look, there's two people that should be happy tonight, or two groups of people. One should be obviously the Dallas Stars, and the second one should be Sports Interaction for taking my money tonight. So you're very welcome. My bookie very, very happy with me tonight. But that's kind of the best way to put it. It was a game. It was a hockey game that took place in Calgary during the playoffs, and that's about as much as you can chalk it up to on Calgary's side. There was a lot of things that went wrong, and we'll get into it. I'm sure you and we were going back and forth before we hopped on, and one of the things you asked was, okay, is there anything you want to bring up? And I'm like, well, there's a lot of things I want to bring up, but I'm fairly certain that we're going to be bringing the same things up from a Calgary perspective tonight. So.
Okay, so this is where I get ranty.
Yes.
A couple of things. First of all, yes, and I mean, just a quick aside. I had Rangers minus 1.5 in that game that went 3 overtimes, and that's a nice little salt in the wound. Like, hey, this is 6 periods worth of you losing, because they're not scoring 2 in overtime. So that's just a particular little ooh to the heart. Yes. On the Flames front, I have been in some way, shape, or form covering, and I use the phrase I use quotations around covering because I'm not a journalist or anything like that, but I have been in some way, shape, or form discussing Calgary Flames playoff hockey since 2014, with a brief exception in 2019 where for the one series they were in, I was off sending ATVs off cliffs in Mexico. So, but I just would love to cover one Flames playoff series that isn't the worst series of the first round. I would love for, oh wow, this one's a real grind. And I would just love for a Flames playoff team to not be, oh wow, the other team defended really well. Oh well, get them next time. Because at some point, you should be better than that. At some point, the 7th place team in the Western Conference just playing good shouldn't be enough to throw you so off kilter that you can't complete a pass or get any scoring chances until the third period. And a lot of things went wrong for the Flames tonight. They did a lot of things wrong tonight, too. I don't think they did the things that you need to do to play winning hockey to help things not go wrong and maybe even have them go right at some point. So all the credit in the world to Jacob Markstrom. He played very, very well. I thought Michael Backlund played really, really well. And the rest of them played like a whole lot of words I can't say right now. So that's my initial thought.
I think that's the most frustrating part about it too, is the fact that it wasn't, I'm not chalking this one up to Dallas outplaying Calgary for a better chunk of this hockey game. You said it perfectly. They just did so many things wrong that you shouldn't be doing in the playoffs. You can't get away with in the playoffs. You talked about making passes. How many times tonight did you see a forced stretch pass that turned into a neutral zone turnover, or a turnover at the other blue line, or a failed exit out of the defensive zone that turned into another turnover for them going the other way? So that was the biggest problem for me that I found is, sure, Dallas won this hockey game 2-0, but it wasn't like Dallas really, I don't want to say they didn't earn it, because you always earn your wins, but you look at a 2-0 hockey game and you think that one team was definitely better than the other. I don't think that was the case tonight. I don't think that Dallas was, fantastic. The Flames just did a lot of things wrong that cost them this one in the end. And it was a frustrating one to watch from a fan's perspective. I could only imagine the people that analyze these games on a nightly basis, how frustrating it must be for them, how frustrating it must be for Daryl Sutter or Jacob Markstrom, who, like you said, played a fantastic game, or Michael Backlund, who was actually my standout as well. Him and Jacob Markstrom played great, but everybody else kind of, I would also maybe throw Dylan Dubé in the mix.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think he played himself a pretty solid game for again a 2-0 game where they produced zero offense. But still, this is not what I expected for this first round matchup.
No. And that is one of the bigger frustrations for me, is that it's because to your point, I don't think it was a particularly awful game from the Flames, as ranty as I just was. I don't think that, like, if we were judging this like the other world that I like to dabble in sports wise, and that's the combat sports world, if we were judging this like a 3-round fight, the Calgary Flames win this 2-1. Like, they were the better team. It's just Dallas did the things that they needed to do to win a hockey game, and the Flames did none of those things. And the thing that I keep coming back to when watching this team in this game, but specifically this team for 10 years now, is that it shouldn't matter what Dallas does. Calgary is objectively the better team. The Dallas Stars have one forward line that does anything. Now, a few of their other forwards play better in this game, sure. But the Flames, when they're at their best, can roll 3 defensive pairings that you're comfortable with and 4 forward lines that you are, to varying degrees, comfortable with. They are so much better than Dallas on paper. It shouldn't matter what Dallas does. Oh, wow, the Stars have dragged them into a defensive battle. Should never be a sentence that's said in this series. The Flames should be good enough and more talented enough and also hardworking enough. That's the Daryl Sutter way, right? Is that no matter the talent level of the team, whatever, they are going to work hard. I'm sure they tried to work hard in this game, but another team just playing hard shouldn't be enough to beat you. Calgary is so much better than Dallas. What the Stars do shouldn't matter a lick in this series at all, and it controlled this entire game.
Yeah, and one of the things too about Dallas, like, I don't know about you, but I find they just play such a boring style of hockey, like
Yeah.
what the New York Islanders kind of were, or kind of still are. It's boring. I don't know, and I find that's some people in this market agree with that take. I won't name names, but I know one individual who you used to work with who shares that sentiment. But I feel like the Flames, they stooped to that level, if that makes sense. They matched Dallas's intensity, which wasn't really hard to match. I think that's just, no more, no less. That's just kind of how it was. And even, I know they get a 1-0 win and we have a hard time kind of talking about a 1-0 hockey game a couple nights ago and what stood out to us and stuff like that. This one was quite the opposite, as there was just so much standing out that went wrong. It was a tough one. This was a tough game to watch. I often found, like, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I had to make a coffee about halfway through the second period here just to stay awake and be able to do this show, because it was just like nothing was engaging. The dome wasn't even that loud. I mean, there were stretches where the fans would get off their seats and start a Go Flames, Go Champ, but that was only after like a couple quick rushes. It was quiet. You go around the rest of the league and you watch the rest of these games and the arenas are buzzing. But to be fair to these fans who've paid an arm and a leg to be there, the product on the ice is nothing worth cheering about tonight. So just a lot of things that went wrong, a lot of things that hopefully they're going to work on. They've split the series at home and now go back to Dallas. So less than ideal. I mean, I guess you have the one win in your back pocket, but I don't really know what else to add to that point. It was just one of those games.
Yeah, it really was. Like, it's the scoring line wasn't scoring, the checking lines weren't checking, and the energy lines weren't providing energy. Like, that's basically where we were at. And yeah, we can get into adjustments to make going into game 3. I know you have, at least I believe, I'm putting you on the spot now and I feel bad about this. You have the chat going on. Is our what I would suggest would be negativity being matched in the chat, or do they feel like we are out to lunch and what we witnessed tonight was actually a spectacular performance in the sport of hockey?
No, quite the opposite. I think a lot of people are kind of on the same page as us. Quick comment from Zach saying Sutter better shape them up, which if we know anything about Daryl Sutter, I would think the anger and frustration that we show towards this contest tonight, multiply that by a bajillion, and you've probably got how frustrated he is and kind of how he wants to get back into shape. And let's see, one more comment from Conrad asking, Peter Noddy, do you see Rosie as in Ruzicka coming in for game 3?
Yes, 100% I do. 100% I do. That was going to be and this kind of spins into the next one is like what changes have to be made, because I think something does. And I don't think you like all of a sudden Johnny Gaudreau's on a line with Milan Lucic and you're just like, okay, let's go for it. But I do think like when you look at when something like this happens, changes do need to be made, and there are guys who are close to that chopping block who I think get chopped. And in this case, if that fourth line isn't, like we said, creating that energy and creating that spark that this team desperately needed for about 45 minutes, then I think you make a change to that. And so for me, it's Richie out and Ruzicka in. That is at least one of the changes I would make. Probably the only one I would make, to be honest with you. But that is what I would do. Is there something different you would do, or are you in agreement with me there?
No, I wholeheartedly agree. I think that's the minor adjustment you make. You know, you saw Dallas make a couple, and I wish I had the tweets in front of me right now. I can't exactly recall the line changes that they made, but they basically split a couple guys up and kind of balanced out that top six. And, you know, not that they were scoring goals in bunches tonight, but, you know, you make a small adjustment like that and you win it, you win a game. Maybe you could chalk it up to that,
right?
Or whatever the case may be. I would agree with the Richie for Ruzicka. Maybe one other name I could think about possibly swapping out would be Lewis. I don't think he's brought a whole lot to the table these past couple of games here, but that's not saying much because, you know, in 120 minutes of hockey, they've been able to score one goal against someone who has zero professional experience in the playoffs. So it's, you know, not saying a whole lot in that regard. I don't think Ryan Carpenter's the guy that comes in. I would wholeheartedly agree that Ruzicka is the one that comes in, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Daryl Sutter is probably the most mysterious man in the NHL when it comes to stuff like this. We won't know for a little bit, I'm sure, if there are going to be any changes. So we'll see, but I would anticipate the same thing that you mentioned there.
The most insightful thing I'm going to say tonight is the adjustment for next game is play better. I don't care who's in there. Just do it better than you did tonight. But just to your point.
Which shouldn't be hard to do.
Right. Yes, exactly.
It shouldn't be hard to do.
Yeah. The adjustment that was made, I'm not going to list off everything because we don't just need me reading the Dallas Stars lineup, but they did have Ben, Sagan, and Nemesnikov on the same line last game. They split up Ben and Sagan. So Ben was between Raffl and Guryanov, and Sagan was between Nemesnikov and Glendening to start. And like we talk about adjustments, it is, much to my chagrin, very apparent that this series is going to be close. And so if you can just make that little move, either here or there, that kind of puts you over the top, then that, I mean, like we've seen the difference. I know tonight was 2-0, but the difference in both of these games essentially has been one goal. If you can create half of an extra scoring chance off of switching things up, I think at this point you have to look at it because, again, this series, it does feel like is going to be very, very close for no matter how long it lasts.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. And I think another thing that it's going to come down to is it's going to be a coaching battle. Like this is going to be a battle of the ages when it comes to Rick Bowness and Daryl Sutter out coaching one another. We would think obviously Daryl Sutter has that advantage, but you know, crazier things have happened. They just won a hockey game, and I don't think Sutter got out coached by any stretch. I think there were a lot of failures before it comes back to him. But I do think it's going to come down to a coaching battle as well. I don't know. It's just I don't want to sound like we're a Calgary, and you know, you and I talked about this. We're a Flames show, and right before we went on the air, you mentioned it's been generally positive up until this point, but it's time. I think it's time for us to sound off, and rightfully so. It's the worst time of the year to be playing this kind of hockey with so many mistakes. How many times did we see? I know I said it before, but forced passes, stretch passes that just aren't working when Dallas knows how to defend those stretch passes, getting sticks in the lane, or a break in the offensive zone where they force a shot through a guy who's less than a foot in front of you, or not getting any bodies in front of the net on opportunity. It's just so many little things that I noticed throughout this game that were just critical failures.
Yeah.
The amount of shots that Jake Ottinger was able to see and square up to without any kind of like minimal bodies in front. I can't even put it into words. I'm just, it's so many things, but like the amount of rubber that he saw without any, hesitation or anything, it was just they made it too easy for him. They would get a quick shot in the breadbasket and that was it.
That's the thing, that phrase, not the breadbasket, although good. Now I'm hungry, but it's too easy. Everything is too easy for Dallas. At least defensively. Offensively, Dallas can't get a lick right now. It's a random deflection is basically all they've had in 2 games.
I will say it was a very good tip. That's vintage Pavelski right there. Yes,
Pavelski, just the tip, fantastic. But
that's it.
It was excellent. But I hate how easy the Flames are making it on Dallas right now to defend them. And it's if Dallas played like this offensively for Calgary, we would say, look at this, great performance defensively for the Flames, because once again, everything's to the outside, right? Like it's long shots. And like you said, it's shots just right into shin pads just because, well, I'm supposed to shoot it right now, so I'm going to shoot it right now. Right. And that just like that stuff can't be happening at this time. And I do feel a little bit, I don't want to say bad, but I do feel a little bit, I guess, guilty that this Flames team is coming off of an amazing regular season, and now they've had 2 bad games, and it's, oh my God, the sky is falling. The problem is, it's looked like this in every postseason, basically since 2004, right? Like that's it. Aside from,
I'm getting flashbacks, Peter.
Right. Like this looks like the Dallas series before, the Colorado series before that. Chronologically, I'm thinking out of order, but I think a couple Anaheim series, a Vancouver, like it's all of it has looked the same. Aside from Kevin Bieksa chirping Michael Furland 8 years ago, all of this just looks the exact same as it has every single time. And when the problems continue, and for the most part, like some of the names change, but some of them don't, and the ones that are still around are still having the problems, and that is the biggest frustration.
Yeah, and I think that's why I tried to stay so optimistic. Well, maybe not that. That's not the right word. Glass half full. I don't know, whatever you want to say, but like cautious optimism with how successful their regular season was and how much hype there was, getting all this national attention and people at various outlets favoring them to go on a deep run. And there were, and a lot of Flames fans kind of thought the same way as I did. And I'm not sure where you fell, but based on what you've said, I'm fairly certain it's the same as the majority of us in saying that, this is great, but when it matters, we need to see the same thing. So tonight was a glimpse in the wrong direction and kind of what we've come to expect up until this point. So it's going to be interesting. I'm anxious to see how they respond to this. What their answer is on the road in an arena that we know is going to be loud and they love their Dallas Stars. It's going to be interesting to see kind of what the adjustment is, not just in terms of the lineup, but for everybody pretty much who played in this hockey game, and to see what they take from it and how they're going to choose to respond. So I'm looking forward to that the most, I think.
Yeah, I do think the response now is going to be very interesting. And there is a player I want to focus on. And I think sometimes the criticism on this particular player is maybe a bit too harsh. But when you are mentioned in the category of people who could potentially getting $10 million next year, I'm going to need a little bit more from you. Everything we have said about this Flames team tonight can be said about Johnny Gaudreau. And like there was some fun rushes. The problem is, as soon as someone gets in his way a little bit, it's just, oh, well, better luck next time. And it's just like, it's as if he can't do anything the rest of the shift. And so I feel like, much like Toronto is kind of looking for more from John Tavares, I think the Flames desperately need more from their best player in Johnny Gaudreau. And I guess that whole line, like offensively, I didn't see a ton from that group all night. And I think if the Flames are going to do anything, it has to start with Gaudreau, Lindholm, and Kachuk.
I 100% agree, and it's giving what we've come to expect from Gaudreau. Okay, a great regular season, and then what show us the same thing when it matters the most. It's giving flashbacks of those days, a 99-point season, and then getting booted by the Colorado Avalanche. But to your point about the entire top line, it seems like they start on time these past couple of games, and then they just let their foot off the gas. A couple quick, basically I think we saw an exact replica of that first game and that first shift as we did tonight, in the sense that they get the puck deep into the offensive zone. Lindholm makes a couple big hits. Kachuk follows that up with another big hit. They get the puck back out to the neutral zone. They go back the other way, throw a couple quick hits, and then they're on the bench, and then you never hear from them for the rest of this, for the remainder of the 58 minutes that's left on the clock. So I want to see a big response from him. I think they need to personally just tone it back a little bit with the physicality, because that's kind of not their game, if that makes sense. Maybe Kachuk, he's thrown his body around, but not so much this year. I think he's used it more to create space than to do anything else, but maybe tone it back, because that's not really where they've found success. I just find that Lindholm is trying to do too much and maybe putting himself slightly out of position. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I agree. And I feel like a lot of times, especially in the playoffs, you'll have teams come in with the, you know what, we're going to be more physical. And it's kind of dog catches car, where it's like, okay, well, now what do I do? Like, okay, we've crashed into them. There's a, like, it's like, be more physical, question mark, profit, you know? They haven't figured out question mark yet. And to be fair, like, a couple of players have, like, Dylan Dubé, I thought, a couple of times, he goes in, crash, bing, bang, boom, he gets the puck, drives to the net for a scoring opportunity. Like, that's the next step. And for a lot of players on the Flames, I feel like it's just being physical for physical's sake, you know? Like, it's just, okay, well, we checked that box, we're being more physical. Why are we still losing? I don't know, we're physicaling, so what's left? I do think that there needs to be, like, physical with a purpose, let's say. And like you said, creating space and trying to create those opportunities. Sometimes being physical isn't go in and send Klingberg into the boards from 8 feet out and then fight Raffle. Sometimes being physical is, instead of circling wide and cutting it back when you're on the rush, drive to the net, and instead of physical on the boards, physical in the slot, and either create a scoring opportunity or just create a bit of a scramble that creates a scoring opportunity. That's the physical that I want. I want the physical battles in front, not necessarily the ones on the wall. Those are going to happen anywhere. That people get hit on the boards in January on a Tuesday in Columbus. The playoff battles are the ones that are happening in front of the net, where it sucks. I know it sucks. I mean, not personally. I've never played a playoff hockey game in my life, but I have a pretty good understanding that would not be a fun place to be. But if you want to be hoisting that fun silver trophy at the end and get your name carved into it, that's the stuff you got to do. Get to those dangerous areas. That's the type of physicality I want to see.
Absolutely. And you know, maybe by doing that too, especially driving the net, force them to make a mistake and take a penalty if you're not successful on your rush or whatever. And that's another thing too, is take advantage, especially in such a tight game. I found that the Flames, like Dallas, we've covered this. Dallas was far from playing a perfect hockey game tonight, and the Flames did nothing to capitalize on the mistakes that they've made. And they made a few. You know, we saw a few odd man rushes going back the other way, where Dallas was caught on either a change or too many guys deep, and then the Flames are able to get the puck out, and one of their 3 great chances of the game ends up on the stick of Backlund and 6 feet over the net. Or maybe I was mixing that up. I think that might have been actually Toffoli. But either way, you got to take advantage of those opportunities, and the Flames did nothing to capitalize on any of the mistakes. And Dallas, like I said, made quite a few of them tonight. They were far from perfect. They didn't do much to capitalize or create any chances from that.
But before we get off the negative train, is there anything else from the chat that has that stood out? Again, I feel bad I'm putting you on the spot like this.
No, don't be. I'll just quickly read through a few things here. Gaudreau makes the Flames too much money to get rid of him. There's one comment there from Kyle. I don't know if that's exactly how it works, but he does make them probably a good amount of money, and he's going to make that himself as well. I expected more goals, so did I, and I'm sure, Peter, you feel the same.
Well, I hope you didn't expect less, because we're like bordering on you couldn't have.
I
But
guess so. Yeah, I guess so.
But
After
no,
the
I
first
agree.
game and it being a 1-0 game, at this point, I think we can expect it to be. We're not expecting many goals at all after
Yeah.
these first two
But no, it
contests.
has, this series has looked nothing like I thought it would so far. Like literally the exact opposite.
A lot of good Toffoli talk
Mm,
in the chat here, which maybe sparks a bit of a question that I might have for you.
okay.
So just a couple of the comments here. Jeff says Toffoli did seem off his game, not very competitive. Susie again echoing that, saying I love Toffoli, but he's gone down a lot. And that's kind of where I want to lead with this question for you is, do you think that there's something wrong? Because in
Mm,
the last little bit of the season and kind of these first couple of games, he just doesn't seem to be the same as when the Flames first acquired him, and that could have been the honeymoon phase and the big Tyler Toffoli's a Calgary Flame. But do you think that this seems uncharacteristic of
yeah.
Tyler Toffoli? Do you think that there might be something that maybe he's playing through?
Could be. Yeah, it certainly would explain a lot, right? Because, like you said, he has not necessarily played very well. And this was the time that you acquired him for, right? Like,
Right.
you acquired him because he has the experience in these big games. And we talked about it. He has the experience in these big games to go out and get the job done. So I am surprised that we have seen this so far from Tyler Toffoli. And I do wonder if there maybe is something wrong there.
Yeah, it's frustrating, not from a like I'm frustrated at him. I feel frustrated for him because I feel like he's probably I'm sure he recognizes that his game is not exactly where he's used to it being or where it should normally be, especially like you mentioned this time of year. This guy's a winner. He's been here before. Well, he was there last year. He's probably the most relied upon person when it comes to being there.
Mhm.
He was there last year is what I'm trying to get at as I ramble over my words. But it's got to be frustrating for him, especially if there is something, if there is an injury and guys want to battle these. How many times do we hear at the end of a series, Patrice Bergeron played with a punctured lung, 2 broken ribs, half the leg in his muscle gone, and the common cold,
Yeah.
right? These guys battle and they play through everything. So it's got to be frustrating for him. I feel for the guy, and I hope that he can either rest up whatever his ailments are, and if that's what the role that we see him in now is him taking a lesser role and resting that up a bit, or I just hope he kind of finds his game.
Well, and that's the frustrating part about now is it's every other day now, right? And this is another reason why it's so gosh darn frustrating. I apologize for the language that the Flames are struggling
You
in
watch
this
your
way.
mouth.
Yeah, sorry. It would be great if you could just put Dallas away in 5 and then you get like a week off, or at least a few days to rest up for some bumps and bruises and get ready for the rest of the way. I think that would be a huge advantage. And another reason why, if this whole thing is just playing with your food, to stop it because it's getting very old very, very quick. And I think Calgary needs to kind of course correct there. Just quickly, but before we put a bow on this one, it wasn't all bad. I do want to shine a
No.
light on a couple of guys who maybe aren't as deserving of us throwing the table around and stuff like that. I thought Markstrom was excellent, and I thought Backlund was excellent in this game. I thought Backlund was their best skater by a ton. And I think Markstrom had some like really high level moments as well. So I guess first of all, did you see it that way? And secondly, anyone else you want to give a stick tap to about, hey, maybe they don't deserve to be lumped in with the rest of them?
I can't tell if I lost you or not.
I don't
If
know
you
if
can
I
hear
lost
me.
you or if you lost me. It is
Oh,
quite
either
a
way,
moment.
I've picked you back up.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I get what you were trying to say. I do see it the same way that you saw it. I think that Michael Backlund was, and funny enough, I know I kind of brought this up already. Michael Backlund was the name that I had circled on my imaginary game sheet as the player who stood out the most to me. He put his name on that puck. He didn't want to get rid of it when he did have it, and he did create a couple chances. So I think that he was probably the best skater. A close second would be Dylan Dubé, who we touched about a little bit earlier in the program. Like you said, he created some offense. He always seemed to know where he wanted to go with the puck or with the play, which not everybody seemed to kind of be on the same page as there. So I think in addition to Markstrom, I would give the honors to Backlund and Dubé.
Yeah, I think that is. I think that's very, very fair. I also think like Hannafin had the giveaway. I don't think that was entirely his fault. Everyone just kind of abandoned him at the same time. But I thought he did play pretty well. On the Dallas side, like admittedly, no one stood out to me. Andre's playing amazingly.
He is. Oh yeah,
so well.
Yeah, I would say he's been their best player through the first two games for sure. I think Raffle is kind of slowly becoming one of those guys for me as well, who's standing out. Maybe not lighting up the score sheet, but just doing a lot of little things, creating space. He knows when to lay a hit properly and not exactly take himself completely out of the play. So I think he stood out to me the first couple of games so far as well. And Pavelski has just kind of been always in the right place at the right time, I found as well.
Yeah.
And he gets credited with a nice little goal there tonight as well. So I think I would add him to the list for Dallas.
So as we get ready now for game 3, it is heading back to Dallas. I don't want to hear that boom, boom, Dallas, boom, stars, goal song more than I have to.
Neither do I.
So adjustment wise from the Flames, we already kind of talked about some of the line changes we would make. Anything else you would like to see the Flame, aside from just play better? Anything specifically you'd like to see the Flames adjust going into the third game of this series?
I think they got to set the tone, but I don't think that means they have to set the tone physically. I think they need to set the tone in the sense that they need to just go back to what has worked all year. And that's just, sharp, crisp passes and good neutral zone play and transition game is on point. Getting bodies to the net, driving the net, creating good chances. Just go back to the basics on what worked this year and set the tone that way. I don't think it has to be a big hit in the first 2 minutes of the game to set the tone in that regard. You can set the tone in a different manner, and I think that's the best way the Flames can do it. So
yeah,
if they are able to do that, I think it changes the dynamic of this whole series.
Yeah, set the tone with like 10 of the first 12 shots.
Right.
Have it be, wow, Calgary is in complete control of this game. The shots are 13-4, and the Flames
like it's
are just
been all
dominating.
year.
Yes, exactly.
It's been like that all year.
Do what's worked.
Exactly.
we're not asking a team to be an entirely different version of themselves. We're not asking the Oilers to all of a sudden lock it down defensively, or for Mike Smith to just never play the puck. Don't know why I felt like taking a shot at Edmonton there, but we're not asking
low blow coming off a shutout, but that's okay. I'll accept it.
We're not asking this team to do something that's out of their DNA. We're just looking to just everyone play to your hockey DB page and we'll be fine.
Right. No, I wholeheartedly agree. And it's just, it seems like like putting it into words, it seems like such a simple adjustment, but I guess time will tell. We'll have to wait and see.
Anything else from the chat before we head out of here today?
A couple quick, well, some people headed to bed and I don't blame you. It is, it is late, but
it is late and that game would have put you to sleep.
That's yeah, exactly. Robert pointing out that Toffoli did miss some time with Montreal, missed 8 weeks this year with hand surgery. So, and that's food for thought to maybe why he could have been a re-agitated injury there. So, we'll see. Another quick one there. Adjust to the trap. I don't know if Dallas is playing too much of a trap or if the Flames just played a really piss poor neutral zone game. I think it was less of a trap and more just trying to force it. And then another one, don't take stupid penalties 10 minutes into the game. And someone else saying, hate the NHL making our games at 8. Well, the good thing about our games being at 8 is that we get to watch every single game starting at 5:00. Yeah. And you're done by 10:30. So people in the Eastern time zone are probably shaking their fists at you for that one.
That's true. Yeah. Those these 10 o'clock starts Eastern time. That's 10 o'clock out there. It's really late.
And shout outs Robert. He
oh yeah.
being in the chats and modding and always being on it, sending us tweets about the Toffoli injury. It is 1:30 a.m. in Ontario, so
Yeah.
I hope you get some sleep after this. That's
Yes.
all I'm gonna say.
Audie, where can people find you, sir?
You can find me on Twitter at Audie James and on Instagram at Audie James _.
I am Twitter and Instagram at Primetime Klein. Also twitch.tv/PrimetimePK. I do some all-time flame stuff over there. Audie, I understand you are off on Saturday.
Yes,
so
I will not be. I know you're gonna man the show perfectly, though. You have before.
Well, we'll see.
We can put my frozen face up beside you if you want to feel a little bit more at home.
I think that'll help the ratings. Yeah.
Perfect.
But yes, we will put a bow on this one. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and I will talk to you all